Here we go. So, guys, I'm gonna just let you know right off the bat. I'm gonna just kind of walk you through this whole thing. Before I start, I caught myself kind of like taking my notes, and I was like putting them onto cards, and something didn't feel right about it. Because I want this to be more of a conversation. I think this is a conversation that we should be having, and I don't want it to feel like it's a sort of like TED Talk thing. I'm going to start by telling you this: I have nothing to sell you. You know what I mean? Like and I mean that. Like I'm not like this is not like a scam. I'm not trying to get you to go somewhere or whatever. I'm just saying there's a lot of comedy-based stuff when it comes to stand-up. Some dude's running a stand-up comedy class, and he like never performs, and he's like taking money from people. I'm not making money on this. I'm here doing this as a service for the local comedians because I want you guys to hear this message, okay? So that's it. So there's no I don't have any like supplements to sell you, It's not like a multi-level marketing meeting or anything like that. This comes from the heart, and I hope I pass it to you. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we're going to be covering a lot of stuff. I hope you brought your notebook, or if you have your phone, one of the like memo apps or whatever. Feel free to do that. I want this to be, like I said, like more of like a talk. I want to pass my knowledge and sort of my perspective on hosting off to you guys, and I want you to really learn from it. This is one of the first times I've done this with this specific cause to focus on stand-up comedy hosting, okay? Because I'm a professional host as a stand-up and also stuff on television or live events. I'm going to get into my background a little bit just so you guys know where I'm coming from, so you get where I'm at. I think what I want to accomplish next couple hours is I want to talk to you guys about hosting. First of all, before we even get going, is everyone in here in comedy? Are we comics? We're all comics, right? And it's okay if you're not a comic. If you're like, yo, some toothy guy's going to talk about hosting, we should go. That's fine. If you're not a comic here, that's cool. That's cool. But we're all comics here, right? So guys, this is your Phoenix comedy community right here, okay? These are the people that showed up on a Sunday for essentially a free show to better their craft as a stand-up. And these are the people that showed up. So take that in, number one. There's a lot more comics in Phoenix than in this room. Fact, right? We've seen them. But these are the people that chose to be here for this, okay? You guys are winning automatically right there, right? Anything that we talk about, any sort of, messaging when it comes to hosting, what makes a good host, why you should be a good host, why you should be taking this seriously, it should boil down to the first fact that you guys made sure that you were here. 3 o'clock on a Sunday, which apparently too much for some people to figure out. Their priorities, as a stand-up, might be just showing up to open mics drunk. Who knows? They have different ideas of what comedy is. So I want to, again, I'm not pandering to this audience. I want you guys to give yourself a healthy round of applause for being here. I think that's a good message. So here's the deal, guys. So this is how I've sort of structured how I want to do today. Before we get into the importance of a host, what makes a good host, and all this stuff, I just want to get into a little bit about my background, just so you know where I'm coming from. I'm from New Jersey, if you couldn't tell by everything that's happening in front of your face. I grew up in Jersey, went to college in D.C., and then I moved right up to New York City after I graduated. And I started doing stand-up at Stand-Up New York and some other clubs in the Upper East Side. And, that's where I started doing stand-up. It was the early 2000s, guys. Great time. It was a lot of fun. And during that time of starting stand-up, I started this variety show in New York with this guy named Jeff Beecher, and it was called Beecher's Madhouse, right? And it was this big comedy variety show. And we'd have all these sort of like sideshow acts, dancers, acrobats, little people everywhere. And then at the end of the show, we would have stand-up comedy, which, by the way, that's a tough gig right there. That's why we would pay the comedian so much money, because it was like, you're performing in front of like sideshow acts essentially, and then, we just unleash you to 1,000 people at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Not one person's over 26 years old, just tables of strippers, and big money. And then we tell you to do stand-up. But it was a very successful show, and it got me really good. I hosted it, and I just got so good at understanding the importance of good hosting, right? So my college, after I graduated college, my stage college was this show, Beecher's Madhouse. So if you hear me refer to it, that's what I'm talking about. It was a very successful show that started in New York City. We brought it to Las Vegas, to the Hard Rock in the early 2000s, from about 2004 to 2008. I'm a celebrity in Vegas. This fucking hair and teeth are all over billboards, and it was an amazing experience. And it was something that, we're all performers in this room. I want you guys, and this is just a side. I have goosebumps right now. I swear to God. I want you guys to all experience the fulfillment that, some of the fulfillment that that's that type of fulfillment that I was able to experience doing this show, because it was a situation where I was able to express myself creatively, and there was like a budget that I wasn't paying for, right? The hotel, it wasn't a corporately owned hotel. It was owned by one guy, Peter Morton. So I'd be like, hey, Peter, I want to do this thing. He's like, yeah, it'll cost $35,000. Do it. Seriously. And it was that experience that was my college, especially in those Vegas days. I'd be like, I want to fly from the balcony to the stage on like a pulley system. How are we going to do that? How much does that cost? How much is the insurance? There's only one guy. He's like, yeah, fucking do it. It'll be great. They hook me up to it in rehearsals, and I'm on the balcony of the Joint at the Hard Rock Hotel. And I go, all right, so I want a Superman theme song. DJ is going to announce me, light, to the balcony. I want to take off from the balcony, land on the stage, and, if I can do some flips on the way, cool. And the guys, hooked me up to a harness. And I was on the balcony. It was a rehearsal. I was like, all right, here we go. And I leap off. And it was just, I was sitting. It was like being on a ski lift. I was trying to do stuff. I was just sitting. It was perfectly balanced all the way to the stage. And I landed, and there's a guy that received me, because it's really an actual pulley system. It's ropes. One guy's up in the balcony, the other guy's behind the bottom stage. They're pulling rope. I go, dude, I wanted to do flips. What's up? And he was like, yeah, man, we have a thing on. It just gauges your balance, so, And I go, no, I want to flip all the way down. And he told me, he's like, all right, we'll put the other harness on, and then, if you want to flip forward, just bend your leg, and it'll just make you top heavy, and it'll just start flipping. You shouldn't be trying this. You've never done this before. And I'm like, no. I'm like, whatever, we'll wing it. Let's do it. So I didn't get to practice it. But the guy was like, hey, let's do it, And they were still on board. I was like, look, if no one's going to stop this now, we're just going to keep going. Like, if I injure myself, it's just on me, But anyway, that night, I wound up jumping off. And on the stage, it was just dark, and it was like a midget bouncing a ball to a little girl. And it was creepy. Just a single. I brought the lights all the way down. And I'm bouncing a ball back and forth. Not me. This little midget bouncing a ball back and forth like a little girl. I mean, we got a little girl for the scene. She was like 11, like pigtails, and they're just bouncing a red ball back and forth. Silence. And then all of a sudden, when all the house lights are down, you hear this Superman theme. And it's just that, the old radio one, And then the midget and the little girl, they look up and they start mouthing it. Oh my God, it's a bird, it's a plane. Lights on, good old Petey boy. I'm ready to go. I dive off this thing. I start flying over the first half of the crowd, right? They're like, ladies and gentlemen, Pete Giovine. People got signs with my name on it. And I'm like flying down the first half of the room. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I lift my leg, and it tumbles me into a spin all the way down to the stage. And the way that I wanted to do it is how it happened. I wanted to come down at the end and then do the thing that, like, you know, Christopher Reeves used to do as Superman, like where he comes in from flying, then just goes into like a nice pace, like he's just like, you know? So I come down, foot down, land on the stage, right? I had go-go girls. We had 90 go-go dancers in the show. I had them come up, take off my gear. I didn't even touch it. They just take the belt off, boom. They disappear. I have 1,500 people going nuts. I jump in the air, land on stage. A Nas song comes out, an instrumental from Nas. I'm a big rap fan. And I rap the intro of the show. Now, guys, the point of this long-winded story is that after I did that, as a performer, like as a creative person, like one of you, right? That was it. If anything, I peaked too early, guys. For what I was shooting for, I was like, it made me so happy creatively. And the reason why I'm telling you that story is because it's all from me taking hosting seriously. Okay? Now, how many people here are active stand-ups, right? We perform, we try to get up wherever, right? My man, I like that you're clapping on that. Yes, clap, yes, you're getting up, sir. I wanted to talk about that story because I want you guys to understand hosting can be very, very rewarding, okay? It could be something that you should want to be good at. It is an important role. Comedians, and especially the younger people that dismiss the role of the host, you're missing the boat here. You're missing it. You're missing it. We have maybe 50 people here today. You have the guy that runs the club up here opening, welcoming the show, right? And talking about the importance of hosting. Hosting is important. It's a part of stand-up. It cannot be ignored. You should want to do it. A cold stage should excite you. And we're going to get into all of these things in a second, but like that's the whole point. To me, I got addicted to cold stages. I loved it. The challenge of walking in front of a random sampling of people. And that's what stand-up comedy clubs are. Every night, you get a different random sampling of people. This whole swath of human beings that you get to interact with. You're the first one out there. That's a tough spot. But it's great. It can make you better. It can make you way better as a stand-up. Everyone talks about their voice, right? You got to find your voice as a stand-up. You want an express pass to do that? Take hosting seriously. Talk to strangers. Be the first one out there. Challenge yourself. Be scared. Don't be comfortable. Deal with it, because that's what makes you better, to the point where you'll reap the rewards soon after and throughout your career if you take hosting seriously. The host role is important, like I said, because it's a part of stand-up. It's what stand-up, it's a major element. It's a pillar. When you see your favorite comedian release their hour special, right? Comes out, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Burr, whoever it is, whoever your favorite comedian is. Right before that person comes out, and does their special, guess what happened like right before there? There was another guy that was on the stage, and he was warming up the crowd, but he's essentially hosting, right? Hosting, connecting with an audience before you're seeing whatever's coming next. It's a major role. It's an important role. It's vital. And to be a good host is an asset. It's like something that if you have in your toolbox as a comic is fucking like unbelievably powerful. And so much of what I want you guys to take in as we go through this is that you should take hosting seriously. There's a lot of young comics that come into doing stand-up comedy and they're like, yeah, I just want to feature. It's like, dude, you gotta, and it's not that, look, it's not that I'm trying to tell you like there's gatekeepers in comedy. There are, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying, that, this is like the thing that you have to do and check it off, and then here's you get the next thing, and then you check that off. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you take hosting seriously and you get good at it, or if it's something that you challenge yourself to do as much as possible, I promise you, it's going to help your stand-up, but it's going to open up doors in your life, career and otherwise, that are going to be extremely fulfilling for you. Because being a good host is being a good personality, right? It's whatever you're seeing right here. This kid in the NASCAR shirt, like, what are we doing with this guy, right? But this is who I am. This is who I am. Looking at you in the eyes, I'm engaging you, but like you can tell this is who I am. This is this guy, right? That's how, when you are good at hosting, you give the audience in almost an unspoken way of them understanding who you are as a person, real quick, comforting, connecting. That helps you with everything, guys. Not just like, that weekend spot you got, and I host. No, it's like, no, this is gonna, if you take hosting seriously, it's something that will, I promise you, it's something that will help you in other aspects of your life and what you're doing. That is why, hosting is important, because it is a part of this whole thing that we do, which is comedy. All right, so what I want to tell you guys is this. I was thinking about this. I was like, how am I going to walk you guys through some of this? And the first thing I was thinking was, well, I want to talk about hosting responsibilities, right? What is expected of a good host. But I also want to talk about what makes a good host, okay? And I was kind of struggling with which order do I do this in, okay? And what I was thinking was, I want to talk about what makes a good host before we go through the do's and don'ts and the expected responsibilities of a host, okay? So this is the part where, if you want to take notes, please take notes. If you guys have any questions before we move on to another thing and you want to address it so it's not, you don't wait, because basically we're going to do a Q&A after I talk. But if there's anything that's coming to you, this is like a nice intimate group. This is like, it's kind of like a classroom setting. If you just want to fucking raise your hand and be like, yo, quick question, let's do it. Okay? Because like I said, I want this to be more of a conversation. The reason why I want you guys to hear about what makes a good host before we talk about the responsibilities of a host, and this is where I'm going to get a little motivational speakery guy on you. When we talk about what makes a good host, I want you to visualize yourself, okay, applying these things that we're going to cover, okay? Because we're all different, right? We're all different personalities. So maybe my version of what a good host is going to be way different than yours, because you're kind of like more of like low energy. You don't look like a cartoon, like whatever your thing is. I want you guys to sort of visualize yourself applying these things that we're talking about, like your personality times whatever we're talking about that makes a good host. Then by the time we get to what, the host is really responsible for and what's expected and what really makes that work, you guys are going to already have this, visualization of yourselves already doing this stuff, okay? Hosting is about personality. It's who you are. And the most true you can be to who you are, the better, right? Coming to an audience, okay, as a host, it's like an experiment every single time. Okay, so let's talk about what makes a good host. And if you forgive me, guys, I had... like I said, I had some cards written up, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I might refer to this for a second, because there's some things that I had wrote down that I want to make sure we cover. Is everyone good? You guys comfortable? Yeah? I had a long weekend, so am I talking too monotone? Should I bring the energy up, guys? Bring it up a little bit? All right, we'll bring it up a little bit. All right, guys. You guys ready to learn about hosting? Make some noise. All right. There we go. That'd be funny. Everyone's like, did you see the moment where Pete's Coke kicked in? What was that all about? That was insane. All right, so guys, we're going to talk about what makes a good host, okay? What makes a good host? Some of the things, and I want you guys, like I said, you could write them down, as you wish, okay? One of the first things I have written down here, and this is my take on it, because this is what I do. This is my style of it, but I think it's applicable to whatever your style is. And that is connecting with the audience up front, and you want to make them feel like that you're on their side, right? So the way that I would normally word this is, I like to imagine myself as an audience member, like one of them, that just happens to be on stage, okay? Now, what you've done there, it's a quick little mental jiu-jitsu thing that you can do, and it works, to where that nervousness of trying to break the ice as that first person out there with this strange collection of people that I haven't met yet. You know, if you are sort of genuine in who you are and you make a quick connection with that audience, you got them right there, right? So if you tell yourself, I'm just one of them, I just happen to be on stage with the mic, my subconscious is telling me that, like, these are my people, right? It sounds silly, what I just said, but it's actually a powerful little trick, okay? That's imagining that you are an audience member, you just happen to be on stage with the mic, right? You guys are me. I'm here, right? Before we, get deeper into all of this stuff, one of the things before we even get into the, more of the details of it, is that understanding, guys, hosting is presenting. You're presenting. You're presenting a show. Who likes a good host? Comedy clubs like a good host. Why? Because you're selling the product. You're up here. This is the final end of the transaction. They went online, so-and-so's in town, they bought the ticket, right? Finished work, got in the car, picked up the wife, they got to the club. This is the final product. And you as the host are the one delivering it to the table. Yeah, you're dropping the fucking salmon on 23 real fast, right? And that is something that you should take seriously. Because what makes a good host, okay, and write this one down, being professional, right? You're presenting, you're being professional as well. When I say being professional, I mean, if you're hosting a show and I show up and I'm featuring, let's say, and you're the host and it looks like you're drunk and you're like kind of slurring your words, it's not a good look, right? That's not professional. And a lot of people mistake where stand-up comedy happens with other habits that happen in places like this, right? Like drinking, right? So, and I'm not going to do a whole thing about it, guys. Like, you all should know better. And like, if I need to take time on talking about how you shouldn't be drunk before you do comedy, then, that's a different seminar that I'm not going to teach. Just figure it out. You should know that, But being professional, the idea that you are presenting the show. I treat hosting a stand-up comedy show like I'm managing the show, okay? What does that mean? Managing a comedy show, knowing who's performing, knowing the order of who's performing, knowing how the performer wants to be introduced, knowing the pronunciation of the, most of the time, last name of the comedian, which, by the way, takes 2 seconds. Don't be shy. I do a lot of corporate events, guys, and there's a lot of, international companies I work with. And when they give me, a list of names I have to read out, I know, it could be frightening. You're just like, I don't even know how to start the attempt, But a comic will love to hear you ask, hey, man, just real quick, how do you pronounce your last name, man? Okay, cool, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, by the way, gets you out of a lot of shit. I swear to God, that does. As a host, you always want to check in, right? Because you want to deliver the experience of presenting the act the right way, okay? And that's with the credits, person's name, okay? Before any show, when the comic shows up to the green room, if I'm hosting, what's up, man? How you doing, brother? Hey, how do you want me to bring you on tonight? Takes 2 seconds. And he'll say, just do, a daily show, Showtime special comes out in May, boom, right? Cool, that's it. The thing that is, the mark of a bad host is when the host doesn't go up and say, hey, man, how do you want me to bring you up? if there's one thing that I want you to write down right now is, quote, "Hey man, how do you want me to bring you up?" It's like a quick interaction. That's it. What it does is it gives respect to the person that you're presenting, because they're like, yeah, I should say that I was on that show. My girlfriend says I don't really, own a lot of my accomplishments. This kid's right. Gotta make sure I say that name. Yes, I was on this show, right? Whatever it is. You give their credits and get their name, you're doing good. Also, when it comes to that idea of managing a show, when I say know people's set times, know people's set times. If some fucking popular comedian just showed up and she's like, fucking the headliner and wants a 10, minute guest spot, and she's going to minute 15 and you're the host, you should be talking to, hey man, we're lighting her, right? You should be talking to the sound guy, the lighting guy. You should be an open relationship in a good way. I know we're in Phoenix, but either way. That's vital. That's vital. So a good host is someone, again, professional, he's confident, engages the audience, makes them feel like I'm just a representative of you. One of the biggest words in hosting of what makes a good host, and I want you guys to write this one down, just the word selfless. Selfless. And that's a word that you can write down, in your book and just look at the word and think about how that makes you feel, right? Because it does feel good to be selfless, right? Anytime you're doing charity, whatever it is, that idea of it's a rewarding feeling to be selfless. As a host, one of your themes that should be running through your head is that you're selfless. I'm here for the show. I'm here for the crowd, right? We said, who likes a good host? We said the comedy club. You know who else likes a good host? The headliner. He wants a nice presentation. He wants to be able to come out to the stage and not have to do any work. They should be ready to go. That's a mark of a good host, right? That idea that the headliner's happy. Who else loves a good host? Who do you think? You got it. The audience. That's it, right? The audience, that's most important, right? So for me, guys, that idea, the first thing I said about what makes a good host, the idea of making that connection quick, right? So I come out, right? And by the way, if there's any examples that I'm using, this is not like, I'm not trying material out on you guys. I'm just using them as an example. I don't want you guys to be like, yeah, it was weird. Pete was teaching a class and I started working out a bunch of bits. It's really fucking selfish. I'm just saying as an example. So for me, when I open up a show, I'm meeting a crowd I've never seen before, I disarm them real quick, right? Quick joke right off the top, right? You're welcoming them. Guys, welcome to Stand Up Live, guys. Make some noise for yourselves. Boom. Yeah, make some noise for yourselves. Great. Great. Yes, guys, right? And just like before, I said to you guys, yeah, guys, I'm all hair and teeth, right? Now we're laughing about how stupid I look, right? It's laughing. We're all together on that, right? The quicker that you can get to that point of making us all collectively laugh together with me, great, right? So self-deprecating stuff about your appearance or whatever, that's great. It's not, and I'm going to be a comic that's going to tell you this. If you use it right, it's not going to be hacky, and it's going to be great for you. So figure it out. There's a lot that you can do that's going to be hacky. Well, I look like this. And it's all in how you present it. But guess what it does? It disarms the audience like that. Because now you're making fun of yourself. I didn't even talk about the crowd yet. I'm not even talking about this fucking, look at this guy. You know what I mean? I'm here. We're laughing at me. I made you laugh about me because of a dumb joke about my physical appearance. But it got that ice break. Boom, done, right? Now I could feel it, right? Feeling like, they're with me. They're kind of like, as quick as I can get to that bridge to make that connection, the better. And it's going to be different for every single one in this room who hits a cold stage. Because it's based on your personality, based on how you want to present yourself, and it's going to be different. I'm just trying to that's how I do it. Just a quick little ice break. Whatever, we move on, right? whatever you can do to connect immediately, as quick as possible, make it happen. There's a lot of people that I've seen that attempt to host shows, and they can't break from their stand-up character, if they have one. When I say that, I mean people that talk specifically really monotone, or, you know, people that have a certain thing to them. And they host a show, and they're just like, you know, all right, guys, you guys ready for your feature act? All right, here we go, guys. Let's bring them out. And you're like, no, dude. You're hosting, you're presenting, you gotta put an extra you gotta put a little sauce on it. You gotta step out of whatever that I get what your character is, but you gotta bring some energy. You're presenting a show, right? So that's another thing. After selfless, energy, you're the guy. Again, I'm talking, I have to check myself. I can bring up energy whenever I want, you know, I can do it. You can do it too. I have a stupid looking face. I got a big smile. So if something weird happens, if a comic just bombs and I need to reclaim the stage after he bombs, I can just smile. I don't have to say a word. And they're like, he's smiling because of what just happened, right? Or whatever it is. Completely nonverbal. Completely nonverbal. Completely nonverbal. And that is another thing that marks a good host, right? Someone that can communicate with the audience without having to hear back from them. When you host a stand-up comedy show, you don't want, this isn't like a Q&A. I shouldn't hear from you. I shouldn't set the tone that like just the audience can talk back to me. But I'll tell you what I can do. I could come out on stage as a host, look at you guys in the eyes, right? Eyes flash. I fucking all of you guys in a good way. I'm connecting with all of you. So by the time I'm 2 minutes in talking to you, you feel like I'm actually talking to you, right? You don't have to call back to me because you're like, dude, this guy's having a personal conversation with me. I don't need to say anything. I'm good, right? I can acknowledge things in the room. Comedians call it creating a village. The idea that, all right, you know, this is a drunk table right over here. This is the family that came out. So 20, you know, I don't know. It's a family reunion. Who knows? Whatever. Blah blah blah. I can create the village without having to hear from anybody. Look at this beautiful couple right here. Amazing, sir. You out. You outdid yourself right there, sir. You don't look like you. Either way, enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the chicken. All right, so I just had an interaction with these people. One guy's an old guy. The other one's really hot. They're eating chicken fingers. Great. I didn't hear a thing from them. But now I can call back. Oh, sir, the chicken's done. You're great. You know, take him to the bathroom. He needs help. You know, please, whatever. I can interact and have these interactions, right, by connecting with the audience and interacting with them without having to hear from them, right? And that's a good thing. And like a little host tip as well, when it comes to like if you open a show and you hear some chatter, you know, the way I do it is, you know, I'll have the interaction and I'll be like, oh, by the way, yeah, when the headliner comes out, yeah, don't do that. He doesn't like that. You shouldn't be talking to the comedians, guys, just so you know. Don't talk to them. They don't like that, you know. And I'll just make a joke about it. Like, oh, yeah, you seem like a great guy. I just don't want any bad. Just don't talk to the comedians, guys. It's like going to the zoo. Just, you know, don't actually touch them. It's okay. Let them talk, whatever, you know, whatever it is. What else makes a good host? Confidence, right? Which comes with being confident in who you are. So much of your voice, guys, can be found by hosting. Who knows who Brody Stevens is? Right, Brody Stevens? Yeah. Brody Stevens was Brody, and Brody Stevens was loved by fellow comedians because he actually lived inside of his real voice. That's what the trick was, guys. That's what he did. He was holding mics so much, doing warm-up, right? Whether it's a TV show, doing late nights at the Comedy Store, whether it's talking to 6 people or 600, his voice was purely his, and it was undeniable. You can tell, like, that's the guy. Because it was like, essentially, at the end of the day, he wasn't even, like, doing material. He was just existing as himself in front of you. We should all, as comedians, want to find our voice as strongly and as, you know, as connected as that, because it's powerful. It's powerful. It really is. And to be able to know that when you're performing, that's you up there. So afterwards, when you're done, you don't look back and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, you know what, I don't like that I did this or that, or I wasn't myself. The goal should be to be yourself. Because Brody was someone that knew his voice, found it, and was able to like exist in it. And it was magic. And hosting, so much, crowd warm up, everything that he did got him there. It got him there. Why? Because he's talking about himself. Yes, sir. I'm here, talking, not having a good day. How are you, sir? Great time. Bah, he's in it, talking, real voice. It's power. So one of the last things, like I said, for what makes a good host, like I said, just the confidence, but really finding that voice. I'm also going to mention this one, too, on what makes a good host. And this is sort of like, this is less thematic, but just more of like a side note. The host, you should be working mostly clean, especially at the clubs, right? So if you come to Stand Up Live, Tempe, whatever, you should be mostly clean. This should not be the host's job to just sort of shock the room with whatever, And it all depends on what your comedy is. That's great. But before, when I mentioned that a host is selfless, the host is selfless because the host is doing it for the betterment of the show. The host doesn't have an ego. A good host has no ego. A good host just wants to present a nice show and build up the comedians that are performing. Like, there should be no ego involved. None. It should be something where you're a giver, and you're giving this show to this audience, and you're coming with that energy of just being a giver, right? You're not coming from a place of loss or anything. It's coming from a positive place. It's huge to be that. That's what makes a good host, okay? So not to go on forever about it, I'm going to start talking about hosting responsibilities, like kind of what's expected. Sorry, guys, I just got like the big water. I know it's like a little weird. He's like, is he okay? Hosting responsibilities, guys, it is to bring that energy, right? You're presenting the show, you need to bring energy, you need to build up the comedians, you need to be professional, right? One of the things that we talked about, who likes good hosts? Comedy clubs. The guy who runs this club is right here. He's watching this whole thing. And he's seeing the people that are here that want to make themselves better and be good, right? Why is it important to him? Because we're representing the club. We're representing the club. So while I'm up here as a host, I want to make this I'm essentially the host of this building. This is the show, you know what I mean? So I'm the concierge up here, and they want good hosts because they want people to come back to the nightclub. They want people to have fun. They want people to be like, you know what, even I wasn't really, the headliner was not my thing, but like that guy kept it moving, and that guy was funny. That guy really worked with us. You'll have so many people leaving comedy clubs talking about the host in a good way. Not that you outshined anyone. It's just like, man, you know what? Wasn't easy, what that kid did. That second chick bombed. That was crazy. He got it back though, man. Fuck, I swear. It's a constant stress test on how good you are as a performer. Also, so the hosting responsibility is obviously present the show. You want to make the club look good. You're shouting them out. Website. You should always know like where you're at. We talked about the intro to the comics, how they want to be introduced. And by the way, if you forget a guy's credit, let it go. Just be natural. I've seen hosts have like meltdowns on stage. But like, you know what, dude? Oh man, he just told me the name of the TV show, guys. Oh, this is so embarrassing. I don't know the name of the show. It's probably a great show, guys. So whatever the show is, I'm going to bring him up here, but we should watch it. He'll let you know what the show was. He'll let you know. I'm just letting you know, there's a show. There's a show, I forgot the name, whatever. It's like, no, dude, you're digging yourself a deeper hole. Just move the fuck on. right? When you realize that you forgot a credit or whatever, great. Go to whatever your thing is, right? One of the dirty habits of hosting is people saying, oh, they perform at colleges and clubs. You know what? I'm not like one of those, like, I'm not going to be like some sort of like, purist and tell you that that's whatever. What I'm going to say is this. If you're going to say comedy, it does comedy at, colleges and clubs, whatever it is. If you're going to do that fucking rubber stamp intro, bring something to it. Bring your personality to it. Bring something to it. Make it real for us, right? Because audiences are smart, and that's what a lot of hosts don't realize. They're very smart. They can tell when you're just saying shit because you've done it so many fucking times, right? Go to Phoenix, stand up, and you're just fucking rattling a website. No, dummy, you're missing the point. You're not engaging, right? On the details of what the club wants from you, right? Letting you know who's coming up next week, whatever it is. And these can be smash and grab interactions with the crowd. The idea that, hey, I'm going to keep the show going, but guys, don't forget we got, so-and-so coming to town. It's going to be great. Make sure we're going to keep the energy going right now, guys. Make it, boom, that's it. In and out. But it's something that should be taken seriously, the idea that when you are hosting, you're representing the club. And that's why, again, to mention, boozing or whatever else, it's like, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. Because they're like, is that guy slurring? Where was he? Ever see a comedian finish his set and end his set and is expecting the host to walk on stage and the host doesn't come on stage because the host is at the front bar grabbing a drink and passing off like a little bag of Coke to his buddy? I've seen it. And I wish I can tell you that was just one story. I've seen it a bunch, right? So you got to be there. You got to monitor the show, right? Another host's responsibility, monitor the show. Just like I mentioned before. Sometimes you're going to be the enforcer, right? Sometimes you're going to have to go to the lighting out. Dude, fucking flash the fuck out of him. He's like 7 over. This is the early show. We got to move, right? These are all things. You should be excited about that responsibility. You should be excited about it. I think that from the responsibility of hosting a stand-up comedy show and the excitement of actually doing that and hitting a cold stage, that should be the thing that excites you. You should be like, oh, I welcome that challenge. I do. I love that shit. I welcome that challenge. I love cold stages. I'm addicted to them. I've moved up, in my stand-up career, but I never turn down a club if they're like, dude, would you host this? I'm like, yeah. I'm already here. We're hosting the show now. I'm hosting the show. The show's happening. You just missed the show. Seriously. I take the opportunity because it's fun. You want to get better, guys? Host shows. Touch cold stages. What's easier? Hopping in a car, turning it on, right? Driving? Or fucking popping the hood and you have to jump it because the battery's dead and then you jump it, then you get in the car, right? It's more work to do the jumping, right? The audience is that fucking, is the warmth of that engine, It's easy just to step up to a warm crowd. You want to know the easiest role in stand-up? The feature act, which I do all the time. It's easy as shit. It's easy. Why? Because the crowd, if done right, is already where they need to be, right? I have no pressure of being the headliner. It's a cakewalk. It's a cakewalk. The host, that person is coming out here, exposing, themselves to the crowd, their personality, starting the show, get the energy up. How do you do that? You do it with being yourself, right? And injecting whatever you can to make that work immediately. That's harder than just walking out onto a stage. It's a skill. And you do it by making those connections, by looking, by being connected to an audience, by doing whatever you can to be as confident and as clear as possible and present and be proud to present. So many young comedians, dude, like I'm telling you, they just are like, nah, I'm not going to host that shit. Oh, really, dude? What, are you missing a fucking, open mic at the Circle K? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're not even going up anywhere. Host the fucking show. Get better at comedy. It's something that, guys, that if you take it seriously, it can take you places. So for me, after doing years at Beecher's Madhouse, I started doing corporate hosting. So that'd be like team building, be like Google or YouTube, or like, PepsiCo, whatever, 500 of their employees. They're at this event or whatever. And I come out and I warm them up a little bit, and then we'll get into either some sort of presentation. Sometimes it's a game show. Sometimes, maybe it's like a team building event or whatever it is. Why do I do that? Because I'm addicted to cold stages. It's great. Every opportunity that you get the chance to do, take it. Take it. Never forget, it's a random sampling of people in the room. You just happen to be, it's like someone set up a focus group for you. They did all the work. All you just got to do is come out and just explore it. That should excite you. It's a lot of fun. It makes you better. It gets you to where you need to be as far as that voice, I'm telling you. You're going to hear that. Any older comic is going to tell you, dude, you got to find your voice, obviously, right? It's very cliche at this point, but it's true. As a comic, you want to find your voice. If you want to find your voice quicker, host. Be a good host. Take it seriously. To me, hosting, it's like those like moving walkways in the airport, right? Yeah, you can drag your bag and just not take it. You're going to get to the Starbucks at the end of this next terminal in a second. Yeah, no big deal. But the people on the walkway, they're just going to get there quicker. That's what hosting is, unless you're one of those idiots that just stands there. Don't stand there on those walkways, guys. It's something that could get you to where you need to be quicker. It's a skill. It's a skill. When I started doing the corporate hosting, I started getting seen by different people with money, right? Now, next thing you know, you might be emceeing like some, rich person's fucking event. There's like there's an Illuminati, guys. I'm just letting you know right now. I've seen some of it, and it's crazy. But I started doing that and being exposed to sort of like that side of it, that money, while I was still doing Beecher's Madhouse in Los Angeles, where, and for those of you that don't know, like I said, it was a big variety show. We were responsible for turning Hannah Montana into Miley Cyrus. Like, legit. Like, we corrupted that girl. Applause for that, sir. Thank you. And I mean that. I've also, emceed Miley's 19th birthday, her 20th birthday, her 21st birthday. You paid ridiculous amounts of money to, bring up a drunk person to talk about someone else. And it was all because I was a good host. I was a good host. I was like a go-to. When I was in town, I had some dates this weekend. So, I had some time open up. Buddy said to me, he goes, dude, I know you got Saturday open. There's like this thing happening. It's like TV taping. They need a warm-up guy. It's not going to pay. I just want time. I'm like, all right. I just was like, I'm just letting you know, guys. And this is someone who's a lifer, who I don't have another job. This is how I make my living. I went over to the fucking training camp of the Cardinals football team and did a fucking ad hoc fucking warm-up for television just because I wanted to talk to the audience and have a cold stage to grab. Seriously. And when I did it, there was some technical issues, whatever. I had to kill some time. Boom, boom, boom. Working with the crowd. By the end of last night, again, taking a gig, no pay. I had the top people at the Cardinals and NBC giving me their cards, being like, dude, you really saved our ass tonight. This is amazing. Dude, you're fucking funny. I don't know how you do it. The next time the Cardinals have like a banquet or an awards banquet or something for their team, when they need kind of a comedic host, Am I going to be on the short list? Yeah. Why? Because I went and I crushed this thing that I got no money for. Because it's great challenge to take cold stages. Whatever opportunity you get, take it. It's great. It's a good thing. It's wonderful. It's a great responsibility to be a good host. You're the top presenter. This is it. You're on the stage more. You have more entrances and exits than anyone else on the show. That's why, when I was talking about connecting with the audience, that's why so much of that is important. Because as you're going through those stages of a show, right, you're able to stay with them, check in with them. We're good. Boom. Here's the next person, right? Some things that, when it comes to hosting, and again, this is under responsibilities. Under monitoring and sort of managing, if there's a change in the lineup of a show, just tell everybody, right? You'll be the first to know. Someone will be like, hey, listen, so-and-so has a spot somewhere else. We need to change the lineup real fast. Cool, right? As the host, what I want you to do is, oh, and by the way, guys, as a host, never be afraid to have a card with you, right? You should always have a card and a pen when you're hosting stand-up comedy shows, okay? Always have it. Physical, don't fuck with your phone. It should a piece of paper, right? Mostly, like, I use index cards, pens, that's it. Names, in case you need to phonetically spell out someone's last name, which, by the way, guys, do it. If you're thinking to yourself, if you're hearing a name and you're like, ooh, this can go either way. I can write this down, but there might be, write it down phonetically for yourself. You're the only one seeing this card. So don't be shy. It's okay. It's okay to have a card. It's a hosting to have, all right? You don't need to, but I'm just saying, if you have someone, they gave you like 5 credits, you want to respect this guy and you don't want to fuck it up, it's okay to have it here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here. I'm back. I'm here, right? As long as you're coming back and not tied to whatever you're holding, you're fine, okay? And so much of that, again, just goes back to eye contact, right? So even if you have to read something off here, you're back here, right? Boom, boom, boom. I'm grabbing it. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for, and then that's it. So don't be afraid to have a card. Again, pronunciations and make sure having that phonetic spelling is good. Oh, yeah, by the way, again, just to tie that back up, always know if something does change, you tell everybody, even if you don't think that person needs to know. Hey, just so you know, dude, we changed the order. You know that, right? All right, cool, boom, right? That's your responsibility as a host. You're managing, you're monitoring. You're the one that you have to make sure that this works. Also, one of the things that I was mentioning earlier, right? And again, I'm just going to keep going back to it because it's sort of the main theme of this, is being yourself, getting connected to the audience so they can tell that this is the real person, right? And so much of that, like I said, it comes from sort of the eye contact, this, that, whatever. But your interaction should be something fun for the audience. And the most that you can develop almost like what would be considered inside jokes with the audience that you can call back in between the feature and the headliner or whatever it is, that's a good thing, right? So creating sort of inside jokes, again, without having that back and forth, an audible response from the audience, right? Sort of being able to connect with them in a way that you're able to sort of establish jokes, inside jokes, things that we have without actually hearing from them. And you can pull it out, like I said, just on observation. Guys, I'm sorry I feel like I'm sounding boring to you guys. Are you guys still with me on this stuff? Because, honestly, I was talking to a couple of comics last night, and as I talk about it, I get excited about it, right? Because I want people to see that there's a whole world that a lot of you guys are, not you guys because you're here, but a lot of other people are missing. Casey, he's got a help wanted sign on the stage. And you're a comic, and you're not realizing that, oh man, What if what if I get one good look in front of that dude hosting? Maybe he'll have me back hosting. That's how it works. You want stage time? That's a great way to get it. It's a great tool to have. And no one can come up on the stage and tell you, oh, this is how to be a good host, right? What I can tell you is, I can tell you the things that you need to think about when you want to project yourself and your personality into the role of a host. We're all going to be different. How long have you been doing comedy, man? Yeah, 5 years. Have you hosted a show? You've never hosted a show. What do you think your personality would be like if you were to host a show? Like what would, right? Right. But you can visualize yourself taking a stage, a cold stage as a host, right? I like that. We might have to revisit that before we let out today, guys. We're going to actually see that out of you today. Who else? Who else here who has hosted a stand-up comedy show? Just raise your hand. So we got, that's great. So a lot of us, dude. So yeah, guys, that's great. So now all the other people, you've never hosted before. Never hosted. Just put it out. Don't be shy. There we go. All right, couple. There we go. Nice. When I was doing Beacher's Madhouse in Las Vegas, I was known within the comedian community as like, it's like, Bobby Lee used to call me Party Pete, Vegas Pete, because they'd come to Vegas. We'd pay him $1,500 to do 15 minutes in a fucking shit show with thousands of people and me flying from the ceiling. And it was great. It was great. During that time, my man Nick Swardson, he would always come to the show, and Nick would be like, dude, you're just such a great host. You're such a great host. Thanks, pal. Him seeing me hosting Beacher's Madhouse for many, many times is what got him to ask me to warm up the crowd for his TV specials, for his tapings. Not the last Netflix one that they did, the half hours, but, his last 2 specials. I warmed the crowd, right? Welcoming them, right? Letting you know, guys, we're filming this for TV. We can see you. These are cameras. We can see you, right? Just want you guys to bring that energy. Want you guys to have some smiles on your faces, okay? Real fast, guys, we'll do a quick little exercise right now. Right now, okay, first thing I want to do, I want you guys, pretend I said something funny, and on my cue, I want you guys to give me a clap, okay? Like a light golf clap, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, wow, that's a real golf clap right there, guys. All right. Now this might get a little bit, a little bit more complex, but nothing too crazy. On this one, okay, I want you guys to, on my cue, you're going to laugh, okay? You're going to go, ha-ha, and then you're going to go into a clap, okay? So laugh into a clap. 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, now this last one's going to get a little crazy here, okay? We're going to do a laugh. Pretend I said something funny. We're going to go to a laugh on my cue, and just let the laugh go. On my cue, we're going to go to a clap, okay? And then when I raise my hand like this, I just want all fucking hell to break loose in this room. Okay, you with me on that? Laugh, clap, and then when I go like this, just fucking throw your girlfriend at the stage. I don't give a fuck. There should just be titties and things happening. We should just be yourself. It's a safe space. Whatever happens, happens. All right, so laugh, clap, into going nuts. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Right? There you go, right? That's TV warm-up, right? But I can take an audience through doing that of like full of like Nick Swardson fans and just have this amazing connection with them to where I can run through those exercises, look at them like I'm looking at you. You can see them smiling because I'm excited to be here too. And this is great. And I fucking love Swardson, right? This is going to be a good time. And then, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise, Nick Swardson, and then boom, the show starts, right? So 2 specials. What does that turn into? Oh, Nick's doing a fucking theater tour. I'll do 20 dates with him on the bus. I get to do 20 minutes before he does his thing, right? Which is great. Live like a rock star. You got 4,000 people in the theater that aren't there to see you. There's no pressure. It's fun, right? These are all things that I experience because I took hosting seriously. Like I got like mathematic with it, There's like News from De La Soul, it's a rap group, you know, he has this one line. He says, understanding microphone mathematics. And I swear to God, goosebumps, no hip-hop line, no quote hits me harder than that. Because that, to me, is like the ultimate goal. Understanding microphone mathematics. That means understanding everything it takes to make this connection. We are so lucky as comics to get on stage and have strangers listen to what the fuck we're saying. Think of how cool that is, how lucky we are that we get to do that. It's an interesting, amazing, beautiful thing. Beautiful. Beautiful. And the more that you understand microphone mathematics, that idea of understanding how to connect on a cold stage, getting excited by the challenge. There's some times, man, where I see a mic fucking popped up on the stand, and I'll be like, you know, I just got here. The bus was late or something. There's like a couple thousand people in the crowd. I didn't get to do like my normal, like just before a show type preparation. And it almost excites me more. Seriously. Like I'll do a joke with guys, like we'll be at like a theater and like they'll be like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, wanna, you know, open for Swartzen or someone big, and they're about to announce me, and before they do, I just look at the stage manager and I just go, I go, bro, I'm freaking the fuck out, dude. And he's like, what? And I go, why do I do this? I don't even know why I do this. This is crazy. How many people are out there? He's like, 3,400. I'm like, 3,400 people? Fuck! Like, because I like playing in that, you know what I mean? In that reality. I wish I was scared of stages. You know what I mean? And I can tell you this, the only way that I got to this point was doing it so much. To where now it's like, it's, you know, it's almost like a fucking fetish. It's like it's in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I want to get down. I want to get down. I'll talk to kindergartners, dude. I don't give a fuck. We'll turn them around. We'll get them. It'll be tough to compete with the chocolate milk, but I'll fucking kill that room. Yeah, I just want to see if there's any other. There was some random stuff here. Let's just go through these real fast. There was some random stuff that I had written down that I just want to make sure I have said. Yeah, like if anything, guys, like one of the things, you know, just as we talk about it, and I hope you can tell by how. We got a question over here in a sec? Yeah. Right. Right. So that's a great question. That's a great question. So yeah, and guys, by the way, so I just need to pull out of like I get all romantic with this shit, and I just get into stories and whatever. So thank you for bearing with me on this, because I want to talk more about the meat and potatoes. Yeah. So here's the deal. When you're hosting at a comedy club, right, it's always good to understand what you're, you know, because a lot of different clubs will have different rules, right? If you do the Punchline, let's say, in San Francisco, on the back of the green room door, it'll say, you know, the host, you know, make sure you're at the show. Oh, but yeah, get to the show early. Don't just show up at showtime, guys, if you're a host. You know, it'll tell you, like, when you should get there, okay, when you should make announcements, right? They actually tell you, like, hey, between the feature and the headliner, make sure you pump up the shows next week, you know, or they'll say stuff like, you know, when the show ends and you take the headliner off stage, make sure you mention the website, right, which is always good. Now, there are some clubs that tell you to do that. They give you, like, a list, and it's like, this is what you got to do. Then there's some other clubs that don't tell you to do that, but when you do that, you look professional as fuck. You know what I mean? When you show up, dude, I don't even ask anybody. I don't go, what's the website, bro? Know what you do, guys? You fucking Google it. It takes 2 seconds, dude. You can find the website like that. Hey, guys, make sure you go to da-da-da-da. We got so-and-so coming next week. Bah, right? You should just know that stuff. So most of the time, so just to answer your question, so some clubs you tell you exactly what to do, some don't. The announcements that you want to make at the top of the show, right? Again, the idea is I want to make this welcoming, right? I'm here. What's up, guys? It's going to be a great show. We're going to have a great time, okay? Couple rules, guys, before we start. If you guys have your cell phones on, I want to make sure you turn them off, guys. Ringers off. I don't want to have anyone, it's embarrassing for everybody, guys. So do me a favor. Even if you thought you turned your ringer off, go ahead, check it right now. I'll give you a minute. Check right now. Shit's off? My man, you look shady as fuck. Is yours off? Yours off? Cool. Ma'am, how you doing over here? She's taking a selfie, guys. No selfies during the show. That's also another announcement right there for you guys, okay? So you would be expected to make some sort of, phone announcement, whatever. The hecklers thing, usually the person who's bringing the host up, and that's the thing. Usually how it works is the club will have someone from the sound booth introduce the host. Usually that person's the one that says, guys, do us a favor, make sure you take those cell phones, but put them in the off position, airplane mode will do, all that stuff. Guys, and once again, this is a no heckling room. That means, we don't want you to talk to the comics, and he'll just say it, right, in a very cheesy, 95.5 voice. It'll sound like you're in a strip club for a second. You're like, should we buy the wings now or get a lap dance? What are we doing? Usually those announcements are covered there. What I would write, what I want you guys to write on this topic is just that you should always feel like you should do more, right? As far as if they're coming in being like, yeah, man, just enjoy yourself, whatever, blah, 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 you're hosting, no big deal. Take it seriously. Find out what the website is. Find out who's coming, right? You want to be able to do all of that stuff, right? And so much of it as well, like I said, there's a part of it is having that sincerity too. As a feature act. And by the way, Casey, when I met you, I was featuring for Brett Ernst. I wasn't hosting. I was featuring. But we were piggybacking because Brett knows I'm a good host. So he wanted the host to go up, do time, the host introduces me, and then I introduce Brett because he knows I'm a good host. Brett makes sure that happens. Casey sees that. We talk about hosting, how much I love it, whatever, and now we're here, right? My point is, I impressed Casey with my hosting, and I wasn't hosting. That's fucking cool. Why is that cool? It's because whatever that was, whatever that made the room feel good and made Casey feel good just came from my personality, and it wasn't me being, anything else than that, right? That's cool. So having that love for the club and the people on the show, that's key. But getting back to sincerity real fast, I'll have moments in my feature set where I say, you know what, guys, Phoenix, you guys have such a great city. You have such a great comedy community. Please come back and support this show. And please come back and support this club. Keep coming back. You guys got a great club here. You know how many times I'm on the road and I say that? A lot. To clubs that I like, I talk to the crowd real quick. You guys got a great club here. It's where you live. Keep supporting this club, right? That's nice. The club likes it, but it feels good, right? You want to support the art form, right? I like this. I like that we're going with some questions on the technical aspect of it. Right here, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Where are we at? My man, corner guy. What's up, dude? Can we grab a wireless mic? I just want to see if we can, because I want us to have a conversation, guys. So, if that's cool. Yeah, thank you. No, keep coming, buddy. Right. Right. You go back into the material. Right. Right.
Top of your head. Thank you. How's that?
Yeah.
And so, as a host, what I really struggle with is trying to revert from my set and turning into an actual host that can keep the show moving, engage audience. You said create a village.
Right.
That's a great idea.
How long you been doing comedy for?
I just started my 4th year.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So,
Awesome.
I mean,
Well, dude, you bring up some great points. And for hosting, like I said, and again, I push that aspect of trying to make that connection as such a big part of it because of exactly like what you're talking about, right? Where you might come on, you get nervous and you're like, oh, and now you're just into bits, like you're doing bits. A host needs to buffer, right? You're the first person telling jokes at the comedy show. So you have to, one of your jobs is you have to prepare the audience to get ready for jokes, right? How do you do that? You don't just come out and start telling jokes, right? You have to, in the sense that, like, you can't just come out and be like, you know what, guys, I just came from visiting my grandmother. She's getting old. And you're like, what just happened? I thought we just got here. I just put an order in for a beer. Now this guy's doing jokes about his dead grandmother. The fuck is happening? There needs to be a buffer, right? So the way that I would talk about it is that the idea that I would ask you to challenge yourself. Like, tell yourself, and that's the thing, guys. Before you do a set, whether it's a set or hosting or anything that you do stand-up-wise, you should have in your mind an idea of some objectives or goals that you're trying to meet for yourself. Things that you want to either learn from your set, like there should be a checklist that you have with yourself about what's about to happen on stage. Always. Even, I don't care, guys, if you guys are all selling out arenas. Before you go on and you hit that big stage, you should always have that checklist in your head. This time, I gotta stop cursing. I'm ruining the joke. I'm cursing too much. I'm having fun, but I'm cursing too much. I gotta stop cursing, right? That's one that I deal with. I do certain things. I'm like, I do it out of comfort, but I'm like, no, I gotta clean that up, right? I have a checklist. So in your case, I would be like, yo, when I go up tonight, I'm doing no jokes. No jokes of anything that I've written that's a bit of mine. I'm going to do no jokes. So what is that called? What's your name again, man? Armando? So that means, like, Armando, you come to the stage, you come to a cold room right here. Now I'm here, right? I'm looking at you. He's got this striped shirt on. This guy's got a great head of hair over here. This guy wants to murder me. He's got his fucking hat on backwards. It just dirty looks the entire time. This guy is just a lone wolf who wants to get better at hosting. I don't know. He's just by himself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out here. I'm out here, right? Because if a host gets 10 minutes of time before, the feature comes out, that 10 minutes should be spent making connection with the crowd. So that's your job. Your job as a host is not to fucking do a killer set up top. Which you can do, by the way, which is totally fine, but that's not what the job is. The job is to present this show in a selfless way, make sure these people are laughing, make sure this room, the temperature's gone up a little bit so it's warmer, so when the next guy comes out, boom, he's off. Now we're watching the show, right? So I would challenge yourself to really disregard your material. So much of it, guys, is the crowd interaction, right? Crowd work and all that good stuff. At the top of the show, like I said, you don't want to set the tone like everyone could just say something, If you do wind up entering that world, like I said, you can always get yourself out of it by being like, hey, guys, just so you know, when the other comedians come on, you can't just be talking like this, okay? We're good? All right, this guy gets me. Great. And moving on. There's something else I wanted to mention on what you were just talking about. And guys, we have where's that mic at? Right over here. We got any questions? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Over here, we got my man over here. Boom, running around, doing it. There was something I just wanted to mention, guys. Yes, I'm ready for you.
Like in between comics,
Yeah.
commenting on something they said and/or telling jokes. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes. Okay. So, guys, this is a major part of this. Okay. So everyone should be ready to write this down. The only time a host should be doing time in between comedians at a show, at a comedy club, okay, is if the comedian just bombed, okay, and the room just needs to get reset, or, you know, if the comedian that is getting off, if we're about to make a transition from energy, if like the guy that was just on was monotone, and you know him, and he's just like, what's up, thank you very much, guys, gets a big response, then you know the next guy looks like me and jumps off the walls, you got to hype up that crowd, right? So there should not be, all I got to say is this, guys, I've seen so many shows that the energy is great, we're killing, we're having a great show, right? The guy just finishes, the feature finishes, we're about to bring the headliner on, and the host is like, man, I'll tell you what, yo, bagel bites are fucked up. Y'all want to know about them? You know about the bagel bites? Y'all seen them bagel bites? And you're like, what the fuck just happened? We were just having a great show. The energy should be, you know, it's kinetic. It's like, you know, look, it's anything. It's the same as any major laws of physics, right? If it's in motion, let it stay in motion. Don't stop. Don't stop. So once again, the only time a host should be doing time in between comedians is if the show needs it and the room needs to be addressed, okay? It can be, and guys, I've been doing this for a very long time. It could be any reason. It can be a guy just got carried out, he's drunk, some girl just puked in her lap, whatever it is. If the crowd knows about it, hears it, smells it in that case, you got to talk about it. Right? You're not going to ignore it. You're going to be like, all right, guys, that was weird. Hope you're okay, young lady. She's gone. Good for her. Got her into an Uber. She's home. She's safe. Perfect. Great, guys. We're going to keep the show going, right? So it needs to be limited. Now, as far as hosts commenting on what the comedian just did or said, do not do that shit. Do not do that shit. I can just tell you right now, it is it's a dangerous thing, and it's mostly seen at the lower levels of comedy communities, at open mics, and sometimes it's it's friends are just busting balls about how you didn't get much of a response from the crowd, even though there's only 7 people here and we're all comics. You know what I mean? Don't do it. Don't do it. It's something that if the headliner wants to do, you know what I mean? Like I always finish up my set when I feature for Brett Ernst, and I get off the stage, the host brings Brett Ernst on, and then Brett goes, "How about Pete Giovine? One more time for Pete, right, guys? Yeah. Doesn't Pete look like he's always on a motorcycle?" He's like, like that, right? So he's addressing me. He's talking about me, right? So that's fine. That's fine. But when it comes to getting wrapped up, especially if you're a host, you're presenting, right? Which, by the way, the comedian who just went on, I'm not looking backwards. Let's not talk about the bit that he just did, because he's off stage. His time's done. As a host, I'm looking forward. So I'm not referring to anything this guy just did. I'm too busy consumed with the responsibility of getting you guys ready for what you're about to see, because it's going to get real in here. We're going to have a good time tonight. You know what I mean? Always looking forward, if that answers your question, my man, okay? And guys, like I said, when it comes to doing time in between comics, at times it is necessary. It'll happen. Cool. Just always, you have to be controlled with that stuff and understand that your role as a host, again, magic word of selfless, it's not about you crushing tonight. It's about everyone having a great show, right? So that's a giving role. It's a giving role. My man. Right, yes, closing out a show is one of my favorite things to do, to be honest. And when I was here last time, I would introduce Brett from the feature role and have him come on stage, and then I would take him off stage because it's one of my favorite things to do. because the host role at the end of a show, the crowd has changed. Okay, when I say that, I mean the crowd that you met in the beginning of the show is a completely different crowd at the end of the show. Why is that? Well, we just had almost 2 hours to communally laugh together. There's a bonding that happens amongst the crowd from when the first drink order is taken to when the checks are dropped. The crowd has changed dramatically, right? So the moment that you get, or that I, and this is how I feel with it, at the end of a show, when I'm able to close it out, I feel like it's that kind of like that afterglow, when you're laying in bed with your girl and you just had, that was nice, that was a good one. I'm going to be extra romantic. I'm not going to move right now. We're just going to stay right here and just take this in, right? So closing out the show, there's a chance that you're going to do just announcements. Hey, guys, we had the comment cards on your table. Do us a favor, fill those out. If you drop into the box on the way out, you guys can get free 2 tickets mailed to your email or whatever the fuck it is. Whatever announcement, promotion, whatever, always have that, right? You're going to close. Make sure you go to the website, guys. We got the top comedians from all over the country coming through here. Do not miss it. Always stay tuned. We won't stalk you, but we'll send you an email so you always know, whatever it is, right? You want to give those details. But like I said, to close a show with a sincere moment is something that I think is a secret weapon to get people to come back to comedy clubs, okay? And what I mean is, at the end of that show, you just take the headliner comes off. Guys, keep it going for them. Keep it going. They're still clapping. Boom, boom. You do some announcements and you say, hey, guys, let me tell you this. And when I say this, I swear to God, anything, I know, again, I'm just talking here. It's just an example. Anything you say, if you set it up right, if it sounds sincere, is going to be awesome to this crowd, right? So, for example, I'll be like, you know what, guys? I'll be honest with you. It was a late show Friday. You were wasted, sir, when you came in here. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. I was not sure. But I think what we did tonight, guys, was an amazing experience together. You guys have a lot of fun tonight, right? And they start clapping like, guys, this was really amazing. I want to thank you guys for supporting stand-up comedy. You guys all made the choice to come out to the comedy club tonight and support the arts. You guys are so fancy. You're supporting the arts. One more round of applause for you guys right there. All right, guys. You know what I'm saying? The idea where I can talk to the crowd, share something that is sincere. If you close a show with a drop of, you're still funny, guy. I still look like this, right? I'm still me. But to be able to close it with a nice little button of sincerity is the topper. That's it. Because those people, when they leave the club, they'll be like, dude, that was a fucking awesome experience. And they might leave with that feeling of, I was supporting the arts. I was. I can tell that second comedian, he did not shower today. Like, he's going, like, you know what I mean? Like, these guys are really sacrificing for what they do. And they'll have a better understanding of that. If you close with that sincerity. That was a great question, by the way, on closing a show. So, again, my piece of advice on it, if you go to the Petey Boy Jones School of Hosting, it would be that you sort of end with whatever announcements need to be made. But if you could button on a moment of sincerity of this experience that we just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. We all went through this thing, that one table, the woman freaked out over that one joke the one guy said, whatever it is. It's like we all went through this experience together, tie it up in a nice bow. Give them just a little touch of love at the end. Where's that mic? Pass it around. Let's do it.
So you touched on it briefly a little bit, talking about doing a bit in between people coming up and all that.
Yeah.
How would you say get into that? Because I feel like it's a little bit hard to just be like, hey, my dick or whatever.
Right. Well, again, so much of it comes from whatever transition that you have, right? So, let's say that you just took a comedian off, and that you need to do time. Either the next guy's not, we can't find him, he's in the bathroom, or that after what just happened, you need to reset the room. And guys, just so you know, the idea of resetting the room, right? It's essentially the comedian version of just like an Etch-a-Sketch. You got to just shake it up real fast, clean slate, we're moving on, right? It doesn't. It shouldn't be a concept that you overthink, right? The idea of resetting the room is getting us back to me now, right? Because we started with me. This other guy came out. I think, whatever, he didn't do well, or it was just weird, or it was awkward. It's my job to just kind of shake that Etch-a-Sketch. We're going to forget. He's fine, by the way. He was great. He's normally fine. He's in between medications, but he didn't have a good show. He leaves, right? I would never say that. What I'm saying is, in this fake story, he'll be okay. When I come out, right, when you come out, you know that you're going to have to do some, whether it's a quick joke, and we should all have that joke as a host. You should have a series of, like, in-and-out smash-and-grab jokes, right? It doesn't have to be a whole collection. Just have 2 or 3 that you know that you can go to just to, boom, right? Just so you rope them back in. Now we're back to me. I got you to forget about what they're, oh, yeah, no, it's the guy from before. He's our guy. He's our fucking, we're back. We're good, right? That's how you reset the room. So to answer your question, man, when I know that I have to do some stuff, I just try to do it as organically as possible, right? To where I'm taking this person off, I might acknowledge something, or I might try to do some sort of interaction with the crowd or say something that is a key word to the setup of whatever joke I'm going to do, right? So, it's about sort of tying that on and tying it into where you're going. So much of being a good host is being able to improvise and see where this conversation can go. And that's the thing, guys. The host is the conductor. You're the conductor of energy. You can bring this thing anywhere you want. And the more confident that you are in your hosting, the more powerful you are as a host. If you come up on stage with the confidence knowing that, look, I have this room in the palm of my hands. If this goes wrong, I can do this. If this part over here, I need to re-engage these guys. Cool, done, right? It's microphone mathematics. It's great. But the more that you understand that, you're good. And that's being confident and being able to make that work with who you are as a host. I'm sorry if that I was kind of. Who just asked the last one? So that was. I'm sorry, dude. I don't even answer your question. What was it again? It was. You were talking about getting into it. What I was saying was, the most that you can do to make it organic transition into, hey, that was a weird experience, and here's this joke. Like I said, what I do is I pick a word or a theme that's in the setup of the joke that I'm about to do, and I find a connector in the audience, right? So this guy's wearing a Phoenix Suns jersey, a bad example. He's wearing, let's say he's wearing some other team. Oh, you got football right there. All right, yeah, I'm a NASCAR fan, man, if you can't tell. Boom. Now I'm about to do a joke about NASCAR, right? Just that. So when you're watching an act bomb where you know that you're going to have to do time in a second, just pay attention to where this finishes and think to yourself, how am I going to get into this joke without it sounding like, all right, yeah, so, man, Tupperware fucking blows sometimes, right? You lose it, you lose your Tupperware, and you're like, why is this guy just jumping in there? Just find it, find it. Pass that mic, who's got it?
Hi.
Hey.
So can you talk to us a little bit about what is the standard or maybe operational definition of clean comedy? Where is that line?
Okay, so when I was talking about hosts working clean, what I mean is, guys, I mean not to shock the room with profanity or with subject matter that is like borderline troubling, You're like up here, you're like opening up with a bit about like dead babies or something, and you're like, this is an interesting choice. So what I mean by that is a host is presenting. This is your show. So when I host, I like to be able to be that sort of like, you don't know where I'm coming from, right? I can be funny. I can be a little, I can tease a little dirty stuff, but like not go crazy with it, right? I'm cool. You can introduce me to your mom. She's not going to freak out, right? Because there's going to be comedy rooms where there's going to be old people. They're there all the time, guys, right? So you just want to not shock old people. It's so much of it, but that's what makes, to me, that's what makes a good host. is that you can come off. This lady stopped me. It was in Tempe on whatever day that was, Friday. This lady came up to me and she goes, thank you. She goes, thank you for not doing any politics. I was talking about politics, and I'd done like almost, I did a 25-minute set, and it was just fun. And she was like thanking me for not bringing politics into it. You know what I'm saying? That's, a good host would do the same sort of thing. I'm not going to spoil the room. I'm not going to divide the room by bringing up Trump when I'm the host, because I want everyone on the same page together. So if I bring up Trump, this guy's a fucking big Trump guy. Everyone over here hates him. Now these two are on rival sides. Now this guy's getting up in the middle of the fucking features set, and he's drunk, bumps into the other guy. Now there's a fight. Happens all the time. So, yeah. You don't want to. You want to be unifying in everything that you're doing when it comes to that. So, working clean meaning you can curse. I'm just saying, don't. As a host, you want to be a presenter, and we should all be urging ourselves to work cleaner anyway, because there's going to be opportunities that come your way. Someone calls me up, be like, "Dude, can you do half-hour clean?" Of course I can. Of course I can. You know what I mean? If you can't, if you've been doing comedy for a long time, you can't do a half-hour clean, challenge yourself. Do a half-hour clean. Figure it out. Write your jokes in a way where you can not curse, and then open yourself up to corporate America and Fortune 500 companies and all that other stuff, right? So the host being clean should just be a challenge to yourself. If you want to if you want to have fun and get dirty here and there, that's fine. But it just should not be a shock. It should not be a shock. A good host holds your hand. Welcome. Sit down. Enjoy the wings. They're great wings, right? I'm here with you. I'm here with you. I'm here with you. I'm here with you. We got a great show. First guy is fucking awesome. You're going to love him, right? Here's the first guy. Boom. First guy kills. You're coming out, guys. I told you about the last guy. But what about this next guy? How much you guys love the last guy? You're going to love this guy, right? I'm here, I'm relatable, I'm here, I'm not scaring you. I didn't mention Charlottesville. Seriously, that's it. It's something that you should challenge yourself to do. As far as when you host, be as clean as you can. Next question, what do we got? Yes. Right. So that's a good point. So the idea, guys, and this is something that's like passed through like the hosting world, is that headliners generally don't want you to be doing like local humor or something like that, like leave it for them or whatever. If you're as a host, let me just first say this. Comedians, for the most part, are very cool. So you could actually go up to the headliner and be like, hey, man, they had the big game last night. Do you mind if I mention that? They blew Game 7 is now in 2 days because of last night. Are you going to do any of that stuff? You can check in with them. Me and Swartzen used to check in on me with my fart jokes. He was like, which fart joke? All right, don't do that one. All right, we'll do it. But the idea being that, yeah, you can always check in with the headliner. As a general rule, I say, fucking enjoy it. We're in Phoenix. I'm going to talk about Phoenix. We're here. I've never seen more polo shirts in my life, guys. You know what I mean? That's going to come out of me as a host, right? It's a local joke, but, if Ralph Lauren ever felt down in the dumps, he could just come to Phoenix and drive around and think to himself, yeah, things are all right. I can't help but say that joke. It's a local joke, but I'm going to say it. You know what I mean? I don't hold to any hard and fast rules on the local stuff. Now, as far as the crowd work goes, it's one of the things I said early on. The idea, if you're a good host, is that you can do crowd work one way. I'm talking to you. Talking to this guy right here, not hearing back from him. Young lady over here, you look nice. I love your hair. Amazing. This guy, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out, right? Over here, these two, you guys dating? Relax, sir. Relax, right? I'm talking to them. They're not talking back. I'm speaking to them in such a way that is so personal that they feel like they're talking back, but they're not talking back, right? I'm creating a village without actually hearing back from them. Just on my observations, on this guy's shirt, on, her ice cream sundae, whatever it is. These are things I've identified that has taken one-way communication. I'm not hearing back at all from the people, right? So it's, to me, a great way to kind of trick the room into feeling like you're doing crowd work when you're really not, okay? Again, if you are opening a show and you do see a chatty area, you must address it, okay? It's like a cancer in a comedy club. You get a little loud table over here. Next thing you know, these other guys, they just had their third drink. Now they're getting a little rowdy. Now that's like the rowdy area, right? It needs to be addressed. And you can do it in a cool way. You don't have to be a dick. Remember what I said before. Audiences are smart. If you connect with them and you say things the right way, they'll do whatever the fuck you want. They will. If they can tell that you're not being a dick, be like, guys, guess what? You guys, I know it's a party, guys, but check this out. We're about to bring on the next comedian. I just want you guys to be with us on this one, okay? We cool with this? And you guys are cool? We're good here? Good. We're going to get back to the show. Can we do that? Cool. Thank you very much, guys. You know what I mean? Boom. You address it, deal with it, you move on. That's where I am with that one. Yes? Right. It's one of my pet peeves in comedy, right? You got a guy that comes in and, someone invites you to come do their show and they got 15 people in the audience and the comedian's like, hey guys, thanks for coming out, all 12 of you. This is nice. We got a jury here, folks. Look at that, and then starts shitting on the place. It's like, then why did I give you time? Why were you able to just grab a mic and shit on this place? You know what I mean? If I were you, when you're hosting and something like that, it's okay to address the situation. It's okay to address the situation, but one thing that you don't want to do is make fun of the people that showed up. You know what I mean? You got something for me? Oh, awesome. Yeah, guys, talking to the mic. So, guys, I just want to keep the Q&A thing going just for a hot second here because I have another thing I want to get into in a second, but I just want to keep this going because this is good. Any thoughts that you guys have, any questions that you have about the host role, just let me know.
I had one about, you kind of touched on this briefly, about hecklers.
Yes.
So if there's somebody heckling, you address it, it doesn't stop. And I know that, this is a great club, and they really do address it with the security and management. But what happens when it doesn't get addressed by the management or security and, the show's going on?
Well, I can tell you, as someone who's featured for Brett Ernst many times, like, I've been in the middle of, like, fights, Brett's, if you guys don't know, he's a little bit of like an alpha dude. And some people, especially on the East Coast, that are just hopped up on fucking creatine and bad choices. Like, they want to fight him during the show. And I've been involved in the middle of that stuff. So I speak from experience. Here's the deal. Again, guys, and this is one of the things that I think will propel you if you remember this part of the hosting, this whole hosting thing, is that idea that you should be taking it seriously, the role of a host, to where you're approaching it like a manager. Like, you run this. Like, I pretend that, like, this is my club, and I'm putting the show on. So it's like, if something, I'm aware. I go to the security guy, and I go, dude, look at the chick at 89. She's, like, falling over. Can we just watch her for a second? Boom, right? As far as hecklers go and handling hecklers from the host role, again, the host wants to know exactly what's going on. So the host knows this is going to be a loud area, this guy is a little drunk, or whatever the fuck. So after I introduce an act, and sometimes it happens right on stage, I'll bring up the act, and it'll happen right here, off mic, and I go, these guys right behind you are blacked out. The club knows about it. You know what I mean? These girls over here just might little settling, just deal with it up top. Like, just a quick, you want to know what comedians are whispering? You want to know what a good host is whispering to a comedian? The good host is not going, hey, man, thanks for having me out here tonight, man. This is a great time. He's going, dude, watch out for this dude right here. The club knows about it. Don't worry about it. We got it. Or we're taking these girls out in a second. Whatever it is, you update the comedian so he knows. A lot of comics have safe words. Like Brett, for example, will if he says to the club, get him some coffee, right? Get him some coffee means get this guy out of here. Don't make me look like the bad guy. I'm telling you, security, get this guy out of here. How am I doing it? I'm telling you, hey, get this guy some coffee, guys. It's all right, man. It's all right. Let's be friends. It's all right. Get him some coffee. He'll be all right, right? Now the club knows we got to get this guy out of here. Because Brett said, if he mentions that, we got to get this guy out, or whatever, okay? So I just got to say this, and you don't have to be an aggressive person to or look like me, who you're like, what, are you fit? Like, I don't even know what you are. Like, I look like a healthy fat person. I don't know. As long as you're communicating with security and with whatever representative from the show, right, from the club, which is, the sound guy, whoever's running the light, and all that stuff. If you're in touch with all those people, everything's fine, right? As a host, get in front of stuff. The great thing about being a host is, or one of the great things about it is, you get to monitor the show so much, because comedians are on stage, and what are you doing? You're not getting that third Bud Light, right? If you're a good host, what you're doing is you're watching the show, you're paying attention. I don't like what's going on over here. These girls are being loud. Sometimes I don't wait for security, or I don't tell security. During the show, when it's happening, they still respect the host. So if I come up to your table, hey, guys, do me a favor. Hey, man, you guys are being super live. You guys can bring it down. The host, the hair and teeth guy that was just on stage, just found him all the way in the back of the room and gave him just a nice, quick, like, hey, my man, do me a favor. If you can keep it down, that'd be great. We can just hear you. Thanks, man. Right? Smile. Boom. Handled. Why? Because a good host gets in front of shit. I only bother security for the stuff that I really know that we need security for. Right? If I can do this myself, I do it myself. I give everyone a chance. But if there's a breaking point, we got to get this guy out of here, you get him out. Okay? And again, the last point on hecklers. You don't want to feed the beast with hecklers, right? As a host, you want to do it diplomatically. Dealing with hecklers as a host is different than dealing with hecklers as a comedian, right? If I'm the headliner, the feature comedian, whatever, and someone's heckling me, it's like, you know what, sir, you're a fucking slob. Shut your fucking mouth, right? Look at you. You're a disgrace. Whatever. Just shut the, whatever. I can talk like that. As a host, no, you don't want to do that. Why? You're the PR guy. You're the middleman between the show and the audience. You're like the liaison. You can't be a dick. It's like almost like the customer is almost right. You kind of have to apply that when you're a host handling hecklers. Because when I handle hecklers as a host, I'm like, hey guys, do me a favor. You guys can't be talking like that. Just to let you know right now, because we got a show. I don't want there to anybody. You guys seem like a great time. Keep it going. How about, round of waters for you? How's that? Can we do that just for a second? Just have a sip of water, sir. Have a sip of water. Great, perfect. We're gonna be good. All right, good. We're good. I handled the heckler, right? It's kid glovey. I'm working with you. I'm giving you a million outs. As a host, you're the one with the microphone. They hear your voice. That's a lot of power. You can control everything. If you're dealing with a heckler, give him as many outs as possible so he just fucking turns off the exit by himself. You don't need to force him into it. Let him do it. You do it gently, fun, happy. Good. As long as we're good, man. Good, perfect, awesome. Move on. All right, so that was it on hecklers. Who's got another question here? I want to hear from my man right here. What's up?
You kind of touched on it, but something that we talked about, or you talked about, not just regarding hecklers, but in audiences in general. Do you scope out the audience prior to the show, or is this something that you do in real time on stage? And
That's a good question. I do both. I'm addicted, guys. Like I told you, I'm addicted to the cold stage. So for me, I stick my head out and I look at the room like it's like you're just getting you're gonna smell it, you know what I mean, before you enjoy it. So I take a big whiff, you know what I mean? So I like that. I look at the room when they're watching videos or something, whatever the club has on in the beginning to like welcome the crowd, I watch it, who's laughing, who's not. There's a club on the East Coast in Jersey called the Stress Factory, and before their show, they show like, you know, it's like fucking American Funniest Videos, just like funny videos, and it'll be a packed room, but I always like to just watch. I'm like, oh, dude, that fucking table's a party. That chick is still has her arms folded, so that's not good, you know. I like to kind of get a temperature before, but it's also something that you don't need to do. There is power entering a room of people that you haven't seen yet, and that power, guys. And keep in mind, everything I talk about, none of the shit should scare you. It should excite you. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. If you trick your brain into getting excited for that instead of thinking about all the things that can go wrong, if you can actually trick your brain, it's a quick. You're just telling yourself, this is a challenge. This is gonna be great. I've never met these people. It's gonna be fun. We'll figure it out. If you tell yourself that, you're gonna approach it so differently. You're gonna be that much more welcoming. You're gonna look like yourself. These people are gonna hear you talking, and they're gonna be like, "That's who that dude is. That's who that chick is. That's exactly who that person is." Right? What else did you mention on that, dude? You said, right. Yeah. I think it's exciting. You know what I mean? So I just jump right in, man. Yeah. All right. So I know exactly where you're going with this. So I'm going to tell you guys my moment when I realized that I was doing this, or that I realized that importance. So when I was telling you guys, and again, this is just all reference, when I was telling you guys about Beecher's Madhouse in Las Vegas, we opened it New Year's Eve from 2003 going into 2004. And it was at the Joint, and I had lived in Las Vegas for a month at that point. And we had a month to promote the show, and we just had so much buzz. This is when, like, Paris Hilton was on top of the world. You know what I mean? She was coming. We were friends with her. She's on the show. Like, just, we had so much hype building up to this. We did these amazing publicity stunts that was on the news. You know, we did some crazy-ass shit, like some New York City grimy fucking street team shit to promote the show. It had a lot of buzz. So the first night that we did that at the Joint at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas, the room is loaded, right? We had to turn around, we turned away close to 600 something people at the door. It was packed. Everyone in there was someone, either a Vegas someone like Wayne Newton, or like fucking Britney Spears is sitting in the front row with Federline. It dates you, you know. While this is happening, this guy walks up to me and he goes, "Dude," because I'm the first one to go up on stage. The guy goes, "Dude," he was like, and this is a guy I knew a little bit. You know, I just moved to Vegas a month prior. He's like, "Dude, you got to be fucking freaking out right now." I'm like, "What? What's up?" And he's like, this is just, everyone's been talking about this show. You're going to be the first person on stage." And I remember thinking to him, I sang to him, I go, "Dude, it's all good, man. It's all good. That's great. I love that I'm the first one on stage." And the guy's like, "How the fuck? What's going on?" And I realized it was in that moment when he asked me that question, I just came back with that, and that was me actually flicking the switch. I wasn't cool before that moment. I was kind of like in my head too a little bit, like, who knows where this is going to go? Who knows if this is going to work out? But being confronted with someone being like, "Hey, man," which, by the way, was kind of a dick move to put more pressure on me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you could have just not said anything, and I would have just nervously went out there. But instead, he spurred a decision I made in my head, and it was that first night of doing Beecher's Madhouse in Las Vegas that I learned that. I was like, "Oh my God, if you tell yourself that you're good, and you know that, and you've signed off on it, You've done it. You've done the work. It can't go wrong. I promise you that. That's why so much of it is confidence, right? The belief that, like, I got this. Be confident. Like I said before, you forget a guy's fucking credit? Cool, move on. Make this, be here. But yeah, that's when it was. It was that moment, is when I realized, oh, we can just tell ourselves that we got this. You know what I mean? Trick yourself into believing, bro, no big deal. To the point where you do that so much, you start getting addicted to the cold stage. Mics, who's got it? All right, we got 30. Oh. All right, so do me a favor. I want to welcome up on stage real fast, if they're still here, Chappelle Lacey and Mike Turner. I don't know if you guys know who Chappelle Lacey and Mike Turner are. Guys, these are comedians